Happy 10 years to the 3DS. Has it really been that long since I picked this thing up? One of the very first major purchases I ever made, by the way. When I first picked this thing up, held it in my hands, and was blown away by my all-time favorite handheld console. This thing was phenomenal. I know I'm a big Wii U fan, and I will openly call the Wii U one of my favorite Nintendo consoles. When it comes to Nintendo portable consoles, I think the 3DS kind of tops it. I much prefer it to the Game Boy Advance, the DS, and the Game Boy. I think this thing was a phenomenal success with a lot of great titles, and I thought that I would take a little bit of time to go over everything I've played on this. Of course, I haven't made a video like this forever. As it so happens, back in the day, you could bring up an entire portfolio of all the games you've played. Damn. Look at this stuff. Great games all around. Okay, so yep. So first, my most played game on Nintendo 3DS is Animal Crossing New Leaf. A phenomenal game, a phenomenal entry in the Animal Crossing franchise. Still my favorite game in the series, even now with the new one, New Horizons, having been a major success on Switch. I loved New Leaf. I adored it. I put a lot of time into it, and I would still probably come back to it today if the new one hadn't come up and is taking all of my attention. I love this game. It's phenomenal. Highly recommend it if you're if you're a big fan of New Horizons. If you're completely 100% done with New Horizons and you're waiting for the next Animal Crossing, get New Leaf. New Leaf is great stuff. All-time favorite Animal Crossing. Personal favorite of mine. Second is, of course, Fire Emblem Awakening, the all-time great Fire Emblem game. The second favorite game in the series, only behind Path of Radiance, which is a GOAT, one of my all-time favorite games. But Awakening itself, a strong second, a strong second favorite, a phenomenal game, incredibly replayable, charming story, great strategy, phenomenal mechanics, right? Really interesting things going on in this one. Highly recommend it. Super Smash Bros. For 3DS. I've hard to believe I've put so much time into this one, because I really haven't touched it much at all, since the Wii U version came out. This is actually one of the Super Smash Bros. Games I personally have 100%ed. It was a great game. I enjoyed it, but the Wii U version, I think, is the default one that people go to nowadays when they think of Smash 4. A lot of people even forget that this version of the game has unique stages. Honestly, in a lot of ways, this version of the game really didn't need to exist, but I still enjoyed this game while it lasted. Ocarina of Time 3D. What can be said about Ocarina of Time 3D that hasn't already been said? This is a remake of a game I've played to death on N64, and yet it's somehow still... I've still somehow put, all this time into it. Incredible version of the game. A must-play if you're a fan of the original, because, not only did they update the graphics and completely, remaster certain aspects of the game, change some things, they added an entirely new second quest, the Master Quest, that has never been, easily accessible before. They've released it before on GameCube, I believe, but that version of the game is not common. It's not easy to find. It's very nice to have it on 3DS. This is the first time I've played. This was the first time I played Master Quest. Great shit. If you're a fan of Ocarina, check this version of the game out. Dragon Quest VII. My personal favorite Dragon Quest game. That's probably a bit of a fringe opinion. I understand that Dragon Quest VII is very unpopular among fans, but I personally adored it. I adored the setting, the story, the charm, the plot twist near the end. Incredible stuff. It is grindy, though. Very tedious, very slow paced. Playing through this entire thing was was a nightmare in a lot of ways. Like I almost gave up like about 10 hours in because it was just slow paced and tedious. But I stuck with it, against my better judgment, and it's one of those cases where it just blew me away eventually. Like once it starts picking up, once you really start like understanding what this game is trying to do, it is a phenomenal experience. I highly, highly recommend it. Rune Factory 4. As it so happens, I have it sitting in front of me. I believe it's the game I have sitting right in front of, in here right now. Rune Factory 4 is absolutely one of the best games on 3DS. Farming sim mixed with a dungeon crawler. This is an RPG that will keep you playing for dozens and dozens of hours. I still haven't beaten it all the way through. There's this super hard final dungeon that I really want to beat. Hopefully before Rune Factory 5 comes out this year. I adore this game. Highly recommend it. It's available on Switch. They released it on Switch, and the new one is coming out this year, so I'm so excited. The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds. The sequel to the legendary, iconic A Link to the Past. Like the 3DS Zelda game, exclusive Zelda game, A Link Between Worlds, is more than holds its weight against the original. In fact, I would say this is probably a lot of ways better than A Link to the Past, and holds its own as probably being one of my favorite games of all time. I adore this thing. Like every time I play through it, I am just blown away by the creative mechanics, the great dungeons, the incredible boss fights, and the non-linear design. I really enjoyed this game, and I'm kind of disappointed they didn't make a third one. Maybe in another 20 years, but I'm not sure if we're ever going to get another a link to the whatever game. I hope we do. I hope it happens, but for what. I just adored this one. It is an absolute blast. Pokemon Sun, I don't think I really need to go into detail about that one. Dragon Quest VIII. Not my favorite Dragon Quest game. I much prefer 7. Stella Glow. I don't know why I put such a grindy, tedious RPG shit. I can't believe I played it all the way through. Miitopia. Releasing on Switch this year, actually. A really fun, creative RPG where you design your own characters and send them on adventures. It's very simplistic, very easy to get into, but it's very unique and fun. I highly recommend it. Project X Zone 2. Okay, the insane crossover between a bunch of fringe video game characters that you've never heard of, like the Sakura Wars characters and like the Strider character, the Strider protagonist, like teaming up to like fight evil in this strategy RPG. It's not a great game, but the game is so well written and so funny. It involves so many like incredible gags with all these iconic and niche characters that like it's hard not to love it. Like in a lot of ways, like I'm still holding out hope that we will eventually get a Project X Zone 3. I'm not sure if it's going to happen. Or at least get the writing team involved with a better game. Because, like, the only flaw with this masterpiece is the fucking gameplay, which is, like, really tedious and awful. If they fix that, they would have a gem on their hands. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have happened. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Spirit of Justice. One of my favorite Ace Attorney games. I haven't played it in years, since it came out, actually, but from what I remember, this game was like an absolute joy to go through. I adored this. In a lot of ways, I would say this is probably like, this might actually be my favorite in the series now. I wanted to give it time before I really like played it again, before I could really like adamantly like declare that, but I think so. Trials and Tribulation is great, but I think Spirit of Justice is longer, has more variety, has better cases, has better mechanics, is overall like more fun to play. Like overall, I think, and kind of tops it for that reason. Even though like I love Trials and Tribulation's like cohesiveness and like finality and just like. Everything about Trials and Tribulations as well. Like, Spirit of Justice is the same thing, but longer. So it's like, how can I not love Spirit of Justice? Again, I've got to play through all the Ace Attorney games. Again, I'm working on it. I'm getting through the trilogy now, and I'll try to get to, like, Apollo Justice and, like, the Apollo Justice trilogy. I'm going to do it, okay? Kid Icarus Uprising. Phenomenal game. a rail shooter mixed with like an action game. Incredible stuff. Great online play, great comedy, a surprisingly deep and complex, compelling story. Really enjoyed this one. Ignore motherfuckers like Jim Sterling who try to tell you it's terrible. It's not. It's one of the best games in the system. Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Great game. The last original game that I think Alpha Dream put out before they relied on crossovers and remakes. This was a great way to end the series in a lot of ways. Like I had hoped they would continue making these games. I thought they would be able to top this one, but as it stands, this is a great entry. Like probably the best entry. I don't want to say it was better than Bowser's Inside Story. I don't want to say it's better than the original, but I did enjoy it a lot. It was a lot of fun, very challenging, very difficult. Highly recommend this one if you can check it out. Let's see, Tomodachi Life, FE Echo, Shadows of Valentia, Dragon Quest IV, Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, Dual Destinies, Codename Steam. Oh yeah, lots of stuff. Paper Mario, Mario & Luigi Paper Jam. Highly recommend that. Ever Oasis. Highly recommend that. Fire Emblem Fates. Can't believe I put much time into that bullshit. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Yeah, highly recommend that. Dark Moon. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Yeah, super underrated game. A lot of people, like, I think it's really popular right now in the gaming YouTube sphere to shit on this one. Don't believe it. That game is phenomenal. I love Dark Moon. In a lot of ways, I prefer it to the original and 3. I mean, obviously, they all do things differently from one another, so they're all worth playing. But Dark Moon is a blast. Highly recommend it. Metroid: Samus Returns, the best remake of Metroid 2 you're ever going to play. Incredible game. Great new mechanics, great combat, amazing final boss. I would legit argue that the final encounter with Ridley is probably one of the hardest final bosses I've ever played in my life. I legit cannot do it without like my hands seizing up. It is great. I highly recommend this one. Let's see, Planet Robobot, great. Story of Seasons Fairy Tale, Return to Popolo Croix. Kind of a weird one. But I really enjoyed it. You see Final Fantasy IV. Did I really put 20 hours into Final Fantasy IV? I legit was grinding for the end game. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Triforce Heroes, great. Professor Layton and the Miracle Mask. Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. Never play Professor Layton. Never do it. Kirby Triple Deluxe. Yeah, great stuff. Super Mario 3D Land. Great stuff. Oof. Metroid Prime Federation Force. Ah, yes. Yeah, Chrono Trigger. Yeah, I've played a lot of games on here. This is mostly just NES games and smaller stuff. Ghost Trick. Ghost Trick is that short? Yeah, maybe I should like give Ghost Trick another whirl. Kirby Superstar Ultra. Yeah, a lot of this is old DS games I played on this. Yeah, WarioWare Gold was great, but it was short. Okay, yeah, what a great portfolio there. Like, what great games. Like, how many classic games did I just name off? And I kind of skipped a couple there. Like, a lot of good ones. Like, the 3DS eShop is filled with classics. Like, Zelda, Oracle of Seasons. Ninja Gaiden this is where I first played Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, lots of really good stuff. Again, the 3DS is my all-time favorite Nintendo handheld, and for good reason. It has a lot of great games and is well worth supporting even today.